if you have used Teeniors before. You're familiar with Teeniors. Okay, so there's 3 of us and then 4 with the rest of us. Let me share my screen. Excited to teach you guys about whatever we can do in the time we have. So my name's Trish Lopez. I run Teeniors, and I'm going to tell you a little about us. This is my mom, Lillian. She's 82. She really likes technology, from playing Words with Friends on her Kindle to checking out Facebook photos of our family and texting. Now she can text. She also hates technology several times a month when her kids get the phone call. Gmail loses her password, Microsoft loses her documents, and we can't always be there to help. It turns out, as you can imagine, mom is not alone in this problem. There are over 80 million Lillians in the US, and those are just the ones over 65. Our world is aging. We're all living longer. By 2030, more than 30% of New Mexicans will be over the age of 60, which I find really fascinating. For these people, for those people, for you, and for all of us, none of us are getting any younger. And those of us who love you, we created Teeniors. Teeniors are tech-savvy teens and young adults who help older adults learn technology through one-on-one coaching, whether that's your smartphone, tablet, computer, at home, can't connect the printer, the smart TV. Our goal is to empower you to connect with your loved ones, engage with your community and the world through technology, while providing paid, meaningful jobs to teens and young adults here in New Mexico, and then further as we grow. So I would like to see a quick show of hands. I'm not sure how many of you know how to use the reaction little icon on the menu, bottom menu on Zoom here. But if you do, or if you just want to raise your hand, I want you to raise your hand as one of the following 5 categories that I'm going to say. And this is to just quickly gauge how you feel about your tech savviness or not. If you're like, I was barely able to get on today's Zoom call, and yeah, that's about it, I want you to raise your hand, or you can put something in the chat saying I'm a 1. So you can raise your hand by pressing the little reaction emoji at the bottom of your screen. You can physically raise your hand like I'm doing now, or you can put something in the chat saying I'm a 1. So a 1 would be, I do not feel like I am tech savvy at all. And then Jillian's going to quickly try to tabulate these. All right, 2 would be, I got on today's Zoom call, pretty comfortable. I can do an emoji on Zoom. I can text. I can, pretty comfortable. But I wouldn't say I'm like intermediate. I would say I'm still a beginner. If you feel like that, and by the way, Tajali or anybody who put their hand up on the screen, don't worry, it'll go away on its own. If you feel like a 2 on a scale of 1 to 5 in tech savviness, please raise your hand. Or put it in the chat, physically raise your hand, whatever. Okay, 3 would be intermediate. I feel pretty good. There's a few things I don't know how to do, but for the most part, I can live my life just fine using technology. That would be a 3. Please raise your hand if you feel like a 3. Or you can, physically in the chat, whatever you'd like. Okay, and then 4 and 5. I really don't need a 5, but 4 and 5 would be, I feel more advanced. Let's put 4 and 5 together. I feel more advanced. I know how to do most things. If you do, honestly, you're probably in the wrong class today because you're going to learn a lot of beginner stuff. But if you feel like a 4 or 5, then by all means, raise your hand. I'm sure you will still learn a few things today. Okay, I'm not sure because I'm not seeing the full gallery, but it seems to me like we have quite a mix of everyone. I ask that because here is where we're going next. There is so much to cover, from like how to modernize your tech skill set, that I want to make sure you all know that Jillian and I did the work during COVID, when it was like everyone had to learn Zoom, whether they wanted to or not. We were like, let's create some classes. Let's do some slides like what I'm doing for you right now, and have these classes online. How to do Facebook, how to create a Facebook page, how to engage with Facebook, how to use WhatsApp, which is a software that lets you connect with anyone around the world for free via phone, text, video call, whatever. How to use Instagram, how to create an account on LinkedIn and use it, how to order groceries online, order prescriptions online, how to use Zoom, how to text, how to use Facebook Messenger, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We have about 27 classes online. They range from 10 minutes to 60 minutes long. It is no different than what you did to get into this call today. All you do is tell us you want this. You can go to our Teeniors YouTube page, but if you don't even know how to do that, we'll go over that. Or you can send us an email, teeniors@gmail.com, and we will send you whatever class you're interested in. Or you can say, I want to know all the classes you offer online, and we can send all those links to you. I'm saying this because if we run out of time, you don't get your question answered, or there's something else you want to learn, there's plenty of free resources, and we will go over that as well. Okay, so at your service today, thank you, Tammy, for introducing me. I'm Trish Lopez. I founded Teeniors about 6.5 years ago. This is my lovely helper, Jillian, and we're here for you. So if you need anything, you can interrupt at any time, just unmute yourself, and then keep yourself muted if you're not talking, because we all know how our background noise or our dogs or whatever can interrupt the class. Tell us which classes you want, or just tell us, I don't know what classes you have, but can you send me a list? And then I'd love to see the links and visit those. For some people, it's easy enough, even just like while you're folding laundry, just to kind of watch and be like, oh, I get it. So that's what Twitter is. I don't necessarily want to use Twitter. I just want to see how it works and what people are talking about. So a lot of it is just familiarizing yourself with these popular technologies in the world. All right, here's what we're going to do today. The agenda, the show of hands you just saw. We're trying to gauge tech savviness. We're going to talk briefly about technology in 22. We're going to go over phones, cellular phones, and the progression over time. How to sort of use the internet. What is Wi-Fi data versus cellular data when I'm using my phone? Video calls, like what we're on now, most popular apps and websites in the world. Attaching photos to a text, that's something people often want to do but don't know how. How to use Google, how to use YouTube. We're going to visit the New Mexico New YouTube page so you guys can see the cool workshops that they have offered. And then a little more as we end, like a quick screenshot of technology today, the future is already here in terms of what tech companies are doing, technology tomorrow, and we'll do a Q&A at the end. So I'm going to hope to go fast and let you guys ask whatever you want. And by the way, again, you can keep a pen and paper next to you if you want to write down questions that you'd like to ask, or feel free to interrupt if you think it's general enough that we can just interrupt me anytime. So technology in 2022, you hear smart referred to a lot, I'm sure. Smart homes refers to all the things that you can do with your home. So for example, with your mobile device, you can do things like turn the heat on at home or turn it off. You can turn on the vacuum cleaner if you have that type of vacuum that's Wi-Fi enabled, or turn it off. You can turn on the lights or turn them off. That would be an example of smart home technology. Smartphones, as you all probably know, are these. They look like this, and they're the difference between a cellular phone and a smartphone is basically the smartphone can access the internet. The smartphone has all these little apps. Apps basically just mean websites in most cases, and that's a smartphone. I can use the Google Maps to have a GPS to take me from here to Santa Fe and show me exactly where I'm going. That's something a smartphone can do. I see that 2 participants raised their hands. If you would like to say anything, or if that was an accident, please unmute yourself and you can just ask a question. Otherwise, you can lower your hand the same way you raised it, by going to reactions and lowering your hand. Okay, smart doorbells. I'm sure some of you have seen this. You've got that Ring one as an example there on that picture on the right. The person who owns that device can then see you on video when you ring the doorbell. Smart TVs allow you to access streaming channels. So instead of putting in a DVD and watching Wizard of Oz, you could stream it using the internet, using Netflix, HBO, Paramount, what have you. So smart TVs allow you to have apps, basically, like the phone does, and it uses Wi-Fi. Smart speakers are things like, hi, Amazon, Alexa, put on my music, play my whatever. That would be a smart speaker. Smart watches can do things like monitor our heart rate, how many steps we've taken a day, like a pedometer. And Bluetooth just means wireless technology. It means that if I have a Bluetooth speaker over there in my living room, I can play Pandora, Spotify, whatever music I might have on my phone. And instead of playing on the little speaker on my phone, I can make it play on that speaker downstairs, even though there's no wires connected. That's what Bluetooth is, wireless technology. Okay, technology in 2022. That's just a couple of examples of personal technology. Our focus today, however, will be mostly on what we can do with our phone, computer, or tablet. Tablets and phones, both being mobile devices, desktops or laptops, computers. Let's talk about mobile phones. Please raise your hand for those of you I can see. If you remember the back in the day phones, as I think of them, the 1G phones, those thick cellular phones that were like connected with a cord. So I think of that movie Lethal Weapon, if any of you saw that, because I saw that movie when I was a kid. And I remember like Roger Murtaugh speaking on the cellular phone and holding that big, huge, heavy device. None of us had phones back then. That was just an investigator, cop, like back in the 80s. Well, that was 80 to 2003. Wireless voice communications, it only enabled phone calls. Then 2G came into action in the 90s. That was the inception of texting, although most of us don't like texting on flip phones because that is a total pain, like 4 buttons to get the letter A. But the inception of texting started then. In addition to more reliable voice calls, SMS and MMS messaging, texting, capability were now allowed between devices. But mostly it was just a nice, comfortable, smaller phone. And then 3G came in the late 90s and still exists in present, although it's leaving us soon. Video calls and mobile internet. This is the era that saw web pages, websites undergo complete redesign so that you're not going to Safari or Google and going to the website to see, I don't know, the New York Times. You're going to the New York Times app. New York Times and all these organizations, nonprofits, Teeniors, everyone, we all created mobile apps that look different than visiting the website. Because if you were to visit the website from your phone, you wouldn't be able to see anything because the website is designed to be looked at on a big screen. A mobile app makes everything smaller. And so everybody started undergoing that transition to make apps instead. 4G is the current era that we're in terms of cellular network. It's data transmitting speeds up to 500 times faster than 3G was. That's why people are getting rid of 3G. Cellular networks are getting rid of 3G. Started last year, it's going to continue through this year. And 5G, which is coming soon. In fact, it's already started in October of last year, depending on the cellular network you're with, is just that much faster. So this is just an example of the advances in technology that are taking place all the time. Interrupt me if you all have a question at any point. Okay, so so many things, which is why I didn't know how to finish that sentence. How to internet. Let's start with the internet in general. Okay, so they're holding an iPad in this picture. All of those are apps. All those little icons you're seeing are apps. And I always try to make it easy. An app is a website application. And like I said, it's pretty much the same thing as a website. Instead of typing in a website like www.teeniors.com, there might be a Teeniors app. We don't have one yet, but that's an example. Google Maps, iPhone Maps has an app. Pandora, if you want to listen to music, even texting is an app. So all of those little icons just demonstrate something new you can do. And as I always say, and you can even see it in this picture, if you go to the left of the device that guy's holding, you see that big home screen, you know, towards his body, that big home screen at the bottom. It's on the left as we look. That home screen right here, that home button is what I meant. The home button, you can never get lost. You can always go home. I always say that because when people are like, I got into this app and I don't know what I'm doing, or I got into settings and I'm totally lost. You can never get lost. You can always go home by pressing that. Whether you have an Android or an iPhone, tablet, whatever, there's always some big button at the bottom middle of your screen that lets you go back to your home page. Okay, connecting to the internet, cellular data versus Wi-Fi data. Does anyone know the difference? And I'm saying that, but actually go ahead and speak because I can't really see everyone on this now that I'm sharing my screen. Okay, well, I will assume not. And let's go into a little definition. Wi-Fi is wireless technology that's used to connect computers, tablets, smartphones to the internet. It's the radio signal that's sent from a wireless router to a nearby device. So if I have a wireless router in my home, as I do, I can connect my phone to the Wi-Fi, the wireless network. I can connect my computer here to the wireless. If Jillian comes to my house, she can connect her phone to the wireless if I give her the password. Okay, so that's Wi-Fi is just wireless data. You do not need to plug in to that to get internet. So that's what our mobile devices can use. If we go to Starbucks and they have free internet for us, of course, nothing's free. Obviously, they're going to be monitoring what we click on because they want to advertise to us at some point. But you get the idea. The city of Albuquerque, public libraries, Wi-Fi is available in a lot of places, and Wi-Fi is not available in some places. People don't want to share their Wi-Fi. So this is what it looks like on your device. That little icon, kind of like a pie slice with lines, that is the sort of universal symbol for Wi-Fi. And you'll see it on your tablet, you'll see it on your desktop or laptop computer, you'll see it on your phone. If those bars are up there, that means you're connected to Wi-Fi. And you can get into Wi-Fi through your settings on any device. What is cellular data? That is the default for your mobile devices. If I'm driving and I want to use Google Maps to get to where I'm going, I'm like, I forgot how to get to my doctor's office, or I'm going to a new place. I can put the map into Google Maps or iPhone Maps or whatever, there's different apps. And then it's using cellular data because I'm not connected to Wi-Fi if I'm on the street somewhere traveling. It's using my cellular data, defaults to using your cellular data in order to engage and have the app tell me where I'm going. So it's like using internet sort of, but it provides access to the internet when you're not within a Wi-Fi connection. If cellular data is turned off, then users cannot access their email and all that unless they have a Wi-Fi connection. Does that make sense? And so the cellular data on my iPhone, for example, where you see the little magnifying glass, those 4 bars, and AT&T, that shows you my cellular network is AT&T. That's who I pay my phone bills to. And those bars show how good of a signal I have to cellular data. Okay, so that's just a quick difference between the two, and that's how you access internet. Where can you use internet? Anywhere. Anywhere that has a Wi-Fi connection, you have a Wi-Fi connection with your device, or you have a cellular data connection. So for example, most places in a city, I can't use internet when I'm driving up to Jemez. For those of you who are in New Mexico, going up to Jemez into the mountains, not a lot of cell phone data, not a lot of cell phone coverage there. You know, the towers blocked by mountains and whatnot. So I don't have Wi-Fi if I'm in the mountains because there's no wireless internet anywhere. And I don't have cellular data because my phone can't necessarily access the cell towers, the signal from up there. Some people might. Verizon, in my opinion, has really good coverage in New Mexico. AT&T doesn't, but I've had the same AT&T since I worked at Warner Brothers and they still give me the discount, so that's why I use them. Do I see a question in the chat or is that just a notification? Okay. So moving on, you can use internet anywhere, like with your mobile device. Let's talk about video calls. We're all on one now, right? So no matter how savvy or not tech savvy you think you are, you do know more than you think. You do know more than you think. You were able to get on today's call. You were able to click that link and get into this video call on Zoom. You can do the same thing from a mobile device, and it doesn't have to be Zoom. There's all kinds of video calling options. So Zoom, in my opinion, their CEO was quite brilliant. As soon as COVID hit, this is someone who had their head in the game of his company. He immediately marketed to the world, we will let anyone use Zoom for free. Any public school teacher, any public school teacher, students can use Zoom completely free. I mean, all of us can use it for free, but we're limited. When he said that, and everyone was in a panic about what the heck am I gonna do with my kid? And the teachers are like, how am I gonna teach? It was just brilliant. Even though, in my opinion, he didn't have the capacity to do that well. They had a lot of security issues with Zoom. I won't go into deeper tech sounding stuff, but they had a lot of issues. Yet he marketed it this way, yet they had all these issues come up from everything from pornography being shared on kindergartners' class calls to serious data breaches, racism, all kinds of things that were interfering with Zoom calls in the beginning. But because everybody started by learning that, everybody was patient as they went through these security challenges and fixed them. It's really, to me, a fascinating study in how this company marketed themselves in a time of crisis. And then now most of us use Zoom today. But there are obviously options. Facebook Messenger is another way you can use video call. Google Duo is the common on an Android mobile device. Google Meet, Skype, which was sort of the OG, the original video calling software way back in the day. And it's unfortunate that Skype didn't jump on that same sort of marketing opportunity, because I think they would have been Zoom. And now you don't hear about it much. We use Microsoft Teams. We use, there's so many video calling options now. Many people use Zoom though. FaceTime is the one that's the sort of default software for Apple. If I want to FaceTime anyone who has an Apple device, I can do that easily. And like I said, Google Duo if you have Android. Phone calls, of course. So there's all these video calling options. And so those little logos that I'm showing you, I just want you to be familiar with them, because they all kind of look similar if you think about it, but they're just stand for video calling options. Here's how it looks on a mobile device. For those of you like Cheryl who are on a phone right now, probably looks like this to you somewhat. If you touch your screen, if you're ever like, well, how do I do what she's saying? Like while I'm on this Zoom call, just touch your screen. If you're on an iPad or a Samsung tablet, or if you're on a phone, just touch your screen and it will bring up that menu you're seeing at the bottom. If you don't, it just looks like this. If you don't touch it, because it goes away. It doesn't want to be there all the time. If you touch your screen, you see the menu and you see reactions right there. That's what I was telling people to press if they wanted to raise their hand virtually and show a little hand raise on next to their picture. And this is what it looks like for the host. You see, I've got mute and unmute on the left side. I've got stop video where it will just show my profile picture. You guys saw that picture probably in the beginning. It's all of us Teeniors. Or I can start the video. Security. Participants, if I press that little arrow next to participants, in this case, I was just taking a picture of myself to show you guys. But I think on the call right now, we have 19 participants. If I were to press that little arrow, I would see the names of all those participants. I would be able to individually chat them. I share my screen. I can record this. Breakout rooms, or if I'm like, okay, now we're all gonna break out into 4 different rooms and discuss this or that. Those of you who have been in conferences or big meetings on Zoom have been a part of that. That's how you host them. And then of course, reactions. And then there's apps. If you guys and I want to play solitaire right now on Zoom, we can do that. Zoom has now created that capability. The last thing I want to do is spend more time on Zoom, but those apps are available for you if you ever want to take advantage. Now, unless you have any questions, I'm just going to roll right along and then we'll ask questions whenever you want. Here are the most popular apps and websites of the first quarter of 2022. We're now in April. So that means January through March of 2022, these are most popular. On the left, you see the United States top 10 most downloaded apps. In the middle, you see the global 10 most downloaded apps. And on the right-hand side there, you see the most visited websites globally. I think that's noteworthy because, I think that's noteworthy because, you know, Wikipedia, I access that pretty regularly, but it's funny, I don't even know if Wikipedia has an app. I'm sure they do, by the way, but I've never downloaded it because when I'm on my computer is when I tend to look things up for some reason. But I love Wikipedia. It's a nonprofit organization. I donate to them every year. The fact that we have this kind of access, and I know everyone on this call knows what I'm talking about. You know, back in the day when you were a kid, you were like the lucky rich kid if you had Encyclopedia Britannica in your home. We did not have that kind of stuff. We never went to the library. We just did not know the access that we had back in the day when I was a kid. And there's 5 of us kids. I don't know why my parents weren't looking into this stuff just to get us out of the house, if nothing else. Instead, we were like told to go play outside. But I wish we had known about what public libraries can offer today. And we'll touch a little bit on that later. The point is, there are so many free resources for you. And so many free resources like this that will go step by step, very basic, into how you can learn something you want to learn to do. Whether that's a YouTube video on how to change out my water heater, how to do makeup better on how to fix my AC, whatever, or an actual document or an actual book. I mean, there's so much. And Wikipedia is a good example of like, I can look up any person and learn something about them. You know, maybe not any person like Julian or Tammy, but, you know, any historical figure, any current public profile person. And so I highlighted the ones here on this page. I don't know if you can tell the ones that are bolded, like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Snapchat. I bolded the ones that are that we have done classes for through Teeniors. So you can go to our YouTube page and see those. All right, now let's talk about how to download an app. I assume that some of you know how to do this, but just for those who don't, let's talk briefly about it. On my phone, if I want to download a new app, let's pretend I don't have Zoom downloaded on my phone and I want to listen to the New Mexico New class while I'm driving to Santa Fe. Well, then I need to download Zoom in order to be able to do that. So on an Apple phone and an iPhone on the left, you would go to the Apple Store, which is what that little logo shows. Google Play Store is what you would go to for Android on the right side there. This is just a quick look of what that might look like. On the left, you see an Apple device. That person already has Zoom, which is why it's saying update instead of get. You can see the one below that, Zoom for Intune, no idea what that is, but you would press get if you wanted to get that app. On the right side, you see an Android. It can show you install. I mean, the bottom line is ignore all the ads you see and just press the button to install or download that app. Usually takes just a couple of minutes, and then you'll see it in the apps on your phone. You'll see it in there. This is how you would download something like Zoom on a computer. You do not have to have Zoom downloaded on a computer, but this is what it would look like if you did. You would just go to zoom.com. They will make it super easy for you. Download, it's free, it's showing you the version. It's how you do it. And this, oh, sorry. I'm moving ahead too fast. That's how you download Zoom on your computer. There's so much we can show you. And so as we go through these basics, I want to cover the things that we have not yet done a class on. So the next slides will go over, because something that comes up a lot when we do in-person classes, or how do I attach a photo to a text? So we did a few slides on those. Let's go into that. This is a text exchange between me and my niece, Alyssa. You see that I say there yesterday, I just took this last night, this morning. Hey, honey, I'm heading over to the store for distilled water. Should be home before 9. So she says, okay, sounds good. So you can see all those little insignias there by where it says iMessage. And it's just like, what the heck are those? The first one, the one that you see next to the yellow arrow, if you have an Apple device, that little icon of like a flower with all the colors, that is your photos. If you click that, you can scroll through all the photos you've taken on your phone. The one next to that is the App Store. If I wanted to say, Alyssa, you really should download this new app, it's great. I could go to the App Store and forward that app and the download link to her. Apple Pay, some of my Teeniors prefer to get paid over Apple Pay. So I can press that. I've already connected it to my credit card or my bank account, pay people that way. The next one is my music, iTunes, and then so forth and so on. You can do the GIFs that you see, like the thank you, you know, like little photos and videos, things like that are offered on the internet, memes, stuff like that. So that's what this looks like. So how to add a picture to a text. See that same row of stuff that the yellow arrow is pointing at. If I want to send Alyssa a picture, I press that colorful flower I told you about. Here's the most recent pictures that happened to be on my phone last night when I pressed that. All I need to do is take my finger and push the picture, like touch the picture that I want to send her, which looks like this. Do you see how I touched? You can tell I touched that bottom one with my dog because it has a little 1 next to it. It has a 1 because if I can send her 7 photos, I can send her 15 if I want. So it has a 1. As soon as you press 1, it populates into the little text section there where it's showing you I'm going to send this. You can add a comment or you can send it. or I can add another picture. That is how you add a picture to a text. Jillian.
Yes, Yolanda has a question. She wants to know if these apps try to or actually do steal your private information from your phone. Maybe you have some more information about that. From my understanding, if you limit yourself to downloading an app from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, they've been vetted by those companies, meaning they're not unscrupulous. They're not going to hack your phone and steal your information.
Yeah, I would agree with what you just said, Jillian. So Yolanda, thank you for the question. We actually, another class that we have on our YouTube page is Cyber Safety 101. And then we can also refer you to another, there's so many great cyber safety classes that you can watch. But the short answer is Apple does not want anyone to hack your phone, and Android does not want any Android operating system, iOS operating system. They don't want anyone to hack your phone. That's not good for business. So they do indeed vet their apps that they allow you to download from the App Store or the Google Play Store if you're Android. Here's what does happen. The apps will say, we would love you to allow us to collect your data, meaning Facebook is an app. There's absolutely, Facebook is paying attention, not individually, what is Trish Lopez looking at? They don't have that many people on their team for the billions of people that are on Facebook. But what they do is in an aggregate, this person, along with 50,000 others, clicked on that ad today that was, I don't know, donate money to save the children. They pay attention to that kind of thing. And that's how they decide. That's how these free apps decide what you're going to see as you scroll through Facebook. Does that make sense? So something like this is complete Apple software. Apple is, I mean, I don't know how to say this. I don't believe that anything we do online is 100% safe. I simply don't. I think it's naive if we think that. What I do is take pictures that, God forbid, they ended up in the newspaper tomorrow, it wouldn't be the end of the world. You know, God forbid somebody hacked my phone and sees my picture of my dog. That's not the end of the world. I would never take vulnerable pictures on my phone. I wouldn't want to take nude pictures. I wouldn't want to share anything like that. And even being rude to somebody, for example, you know, I'm sure we've all done that at some point or another, but anyone can take a screenshot, even if you delete that. You know, you've seen this with athletes. They do something on Twitter that they regret. They're like, what the hell were they thinking, letting that person get the award? Or just say something, they say something that maybe many of us think, but we don't really say. We certainly don't publicize if we're a celebrity. And then they'll get fired or they'll get disqualified from a race or something like that, simply because they put out a tweet that they really shouldn't have. Or maybe they should. I mean, maybe you could also argue that's just reality. This is people's thoughts. Should they get punished for that? That's a whole other discussion. But like, anyone can take a screenshot, even if you delete it. So that's why I'm like, it's a great question you asked, because the overall foundation that I live by is truly nothing is 100% safe. But what I know is that the people who are hacking, they want to get money. You know, most people aren't trying to hack into my bank account. I don't have a ton of money. But seniors in general are vulnerable to scams. You know, one of our Teeniors was heartbroken because her own grandma got scammed out of $4,000. Had nothing to do with technology. It was a call to her home phone of someone saying, you won a sweepstakes. Yes, absolutely. And through a series of calls, got her to trust them enough to give her bank account information. And so that's why I'm like, you know, it's just like the world, I guess. Nothing's 100% safe. Driving is not 100% safe. But for something like this, I'm sending a picture to Alyssa, you know, somebody I know who's in my contacts. Apple, I don't think is looking to, there's nothing nefarious going on there, if that makes sense. Is that, if you have a follow-up question, please ask, because I may have gone on a tangent, not really answered the question, but that's what I would say to that. A common thing, moving on now to something else that's really common online, which is Google search. So as we sometimes tell our clients, and I have to tell the kids this too, because some of our Teeniors don't realize, because they grew up in the era of Google search. They didn't grow up in the era of, you know, you and I, like there was the Dewey Decimal System at the library. They grew up in the era of everything is at your fingertips. So I tell them, when you're coaching someone, if they're not familiar with Google, how to search someone, it doesn't have to be Google. It can be DuckDuckGo, which doesn't track what you search. It can be Safari, it can be anything. Whatever search engine you use, Google's just a popular one that I'm using as an example. It's good to know how to search because so much information is online now, almost all information is online now, that it's the quickest way to get information at your fingertips. So let's go through an example. Right now, we're going to learn a little bit about YouTube, and we're going to start that through a Google search. Bear with me. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Let me just do that. So I'm going to start by going back up here to the little URL bar and just go Google. Remember, you don't have to type all of google.com if it's already showing it for you, because it's such a popular website to go to. I don't even need to type the whole thing. As soon as I see all the rest of it come up, I can just press enter.
Trish, we don't see that coming up. All we see is YouTube.
Oh, thank you, Jillian. Okay, well then I'll go to Google. I'll go to that in a second. So if we only see YouTube right now.
We just see your slide for YouTube.
Oh, so then this didn't work the way we thought it was going to.
Yeah.
I stopped sharing, guys, because when we did this in a practice, it went straight to internet, but in this case it didn't. So let me see if I can share the screen now. Do we have any questions before I transition to going to live internet? Okay, awesome. I'm sharing my screen. There we go. Now do you see YouTube and me scrolling? Awesome. Okay, let's see if I can go to the URL. Do you see that highlighted, Jillian?
Yes.
Great. So I'm up in the URL bar. And what I was saying earlier is if I just start typing Google, it's such a popular website that I don't even need to be Google. It's so popular that once it starts populating that for you, I can just press enter. And there's Google. Now, if I just go inside the search bar with my little cursor here, look what it does. It tells me all the trending searches. There is no better way than to get lost and waste your whole day than by looking at trends on the internet. So we're not going to go there. I am going to type Teeniors YouTube. And you see this come up. It's the first thing that comes up. But we also are the only ones that have the name Teeniors. Let me show you something else. If in that Google search bar, which is now up at the top, if I press, I just had sinus surgery. I'm going to push sinus infection. Here's what happens. We'll learn something there, but as you can see, 1,230,000, whatever that is, 1,230,000,000 results. Don't let that bother you. What you do as soon as you Google something, if it didn't come up right away, like that was the Teeniors YouTube channel, didn't come up with any ads, we don't have any ads on Google and no one else has the name Teeniors. So there's probably not going to be any ads. But for something like, for almost anything else in the world, you're going to see ads. And what in your job, when you go through Google, because remember, anything that's free is not 100% free. The free means, but we're going to show you ads because you're getting this for free and we got to pay our bills somehow. So you're going to see ads from our partners. So we scroll right past every little one of these little black things that say ads. And then technically, I don't like WebMD myself. Some people do. What I do is I just sort of go down because the cream rises to the top on Google. The more credible sources rise to the top. An article that Trish writes on sinusitis isn't going to rise to the top. But the CDC and what they have to say about sinus infections, the Cleveland Clinic, which is a reputable nonprofit hospital, all of these, healthline.com is one that I happen to like, show you information and you can learn so much. I mean, sadly, in our, what I would call a broken healthcare system in our society, I have learned way more by going online because it informs the 15 minutes I get with my doctor when I do have an appointment. So I'm saying this because these are the examples of what you'll want to scroll past the ads and you'll want to get all of these like sort of top 10 things, I would say, tend to be the things that rise to the top. Okay, I'm going to go to YouTube, New Mexico New. That's where we are today. New Mexico New is a common word. Is it New Elder World, Tammy?
Yes, NM New, it's NM New Elder World. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, what is New Mexico New Elder World? I'm just going to go straight to that video. This is a presentation that they gave at Impact and Coffee. That's not where I'm going. So here, I'm going to go to New Mexico New Elder World. I'm hoping their channel comes up, and
There you
it
go.
did. There we are. So this, what is New Mexico New Elder World? You can tell here that it's the actual YouTube channel is Impact and Coffee. Here, New Mexico New Elder World is the channel. They have 21 subscribers and 10 videos. If we go to that, we see here, here's what they've got. I'm on their homepage, which shows sort of featured videos. If I go to their videos, right here, the second little column, you see all of their videos. You can see that they range from like a minute and 10 to a minute 26. And that would be, and then if I wanted to subscribe to it, I'm like, I really like New Elder Worlds. Hang on, I gotta move over here so I can see it because your guys' faces are on the side. I press over here, the subscribe button. Want to subscribe to this channel? Well, then you need to sign in. YouTube requires that you have a YouTube account. Luckily I do. So I'm going to sign in. I believe I'm already subscribed to them. Yes. Now, exploring YouTube is similar to exploring Google. It's like how to fix my toilet. We can come up with all kinds of things. I have yet to meet a teener who doesn't use YouTube for everything they want to learn. I mean, it's really, really popular with younger people. It's also really popular with people like my brother. Like, I've been amazed at how much he knows now in home repair, and it's because of YouTube. He's like, I literally just go to YouTube. So this is my homepage. I'm always listening to this focus music when I'm working. It's always going to suggest things that it wants you to listen to. And I pay for YouTube. So that means it takes the ads out. It's like $12.99 a month plus tax. I never thought that was worth it for the last 10 years. I finally started thinking it was worth it because every channel kind of feeds into YouTube. So I don't need to subscribe to as many other things. That's an example of YouTube. I'm going to share my screen now and go back to our slides. Can you see this?
Yes.
Thank you. We're almost done. The examples of free classes online with NMNU, which I love, by the way, it's different than ours. Ours are all about teaching you how to do something with technology. NMNU Elder Worlds, has what I would consider like more professional discussions, presentations that are all about moving into this second and third act of life. You know, like some examples of their classes: 6 Ps of midlife transition, financial wellness, grief, happiness and the art of flourishing, wisdom of your body, the sandwich generation when you're taking care of kids and older people, kind of like me. So I really love their classes. And that's yet another example of something, a free resource for you online. Okay, I'm going to move into a couple more slides and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So the let's try this was when I was going to go to the YouTube, but now you guys know how to do that. This is technology today. For those of you who aren't aware, I know that's small writing, so I'll read these off to you. From the top left going across, you see that virtual reality, that headset, that is a very common tool. My daughter played with one at a friend's house in Las Cruces a while back, was in love with seeing Disneyland from her virtual reality headset. Hologram projectors are common. 3D printers are very common. Artificial photosynthesis. 5G internet, which is coming, as I told you, and already here. Eye augmentation. 5D data storage. I don't even know what that is. Augmented reality, definitely common. Electric cars, which are always supposedly closer and closer to coming into our realities here. Quantum computing, supercomputers, that's been around for a while. Artificial intelligence, cloning, super brain, digital medicine, home robots. In fact, I represented Teeniors in a global competition in San Francisco in 2018, and there was 7 of us competing, and it was all about human connection in senior centers. There were 7 of us startups competing. Mine was the only one that used actual humans. And I remember we lost the competition to the home robots company. Like, they're like, we'll put a robot in every one of these. And I remember 2 of the judges came up to me afterwards and they said, we love what you're doing. Oh my God. But in the end, robots scale faster than humans. Because remember, corporations are all about money, and they're like, we need to scale and scale and scale fast. How are we going to get 1 million robots? That's much easier than an army of 1 million teen years. And so I always think of that when I see robots now. Eco houses, drone technology. We've all seen drones, like cameras covering the balloon fiesta, covering a sporting event, covering all kinds of things. This is technology tomorrow. The trends and underlying technologies in the next 10 years. I mean, there's so much I don't understand. There's so much I barely have a clue about. And these are just the things that are common that we can Google. I don't even want to know what the military and other tech companies are working on that I would never, as a citizen, approve of or agree to. But this is just to give you an idea of we're kind of start out with a baseline of here's the common personal technologies that people are talking about nowadays with smart TVs, smart homes, smartphones, all that. And then let's get a little more specific about how the internet works, and then getting into all this. And now coming into that hourglass of there's more coming. This is technology tomorrow. Technology is not going anywhere. Social media is not going anywhere. And I mention that because it's important that all of us, in my opinion, my idea of community is that we all take care of each other, right? We take care of our most vulnerable, and those when we're strong, especially. Because I know people like my mom, I really started to see it when stores were treating her differently, when people were treating her differently, when her hair started to gray. You can see the ageism in our society. It's not hard to see if you're paying attention. And it's really important to me that we're inclusive of everyone, differently abled people, older people, younger people. They're discriminated against too, but in a different way, and certainly not as much as older people. And so one of the last slides I'd like to talk about is your free resources. First of all, your public library. Do not underestimate how much you can do there. I learned even more from my lovely Jillian here, because she used to work in the public library system. And now I have I would love to say I use it more, but I don't have much of a, I don't have much of a personal life outside of work and being a mom. But if I did, I would be downloading more books. I would be downloading more audiobooks. All of these things are free through the public library. Yes, I can go to Kindle, Amazon.com, whatever, and download them. But why? If I can access them from the library, I can access movies. I can go to the library for magazines, obviously for books. I can go to the library to use free internet. In fact, right now, Teeniors has a client, a man who's unemployed, who wants to learn how to create his resume online, submit to jobs. And one of our coaches is teaching him at Erna Ferguson Library. So please don't underestimate your public library. All you have to do is Google my public library, and the ones closest to you will come up. Internet essentials. If you're not familiar with this, it's rare that I will promote the work of a corporation, because corporations are for profit. Some of them do great work, but their number one goal is profit. But Internet Essentials is Comcast's way of helping out people who do not have access to the internet or do not have enough money to buy computers. They have $10 a month internet if you qualify through something like Medicaid or living in HUD housing. They have low cost computers, usually about $150 for a laptop or desktop that you can buy. And then on Internet Essentials website, which is internetessentials.com, you can access classes, both online classes, and if you put in your city and they have like a sort of Internet Essentials connection in that community, then you can see free classes that are in person that way. And by the way, the library has the same thing. They have free classes. They have like technology and other kinds of classes. They have bilingual classes, all kinds of stuff. And then number 3, the Affordable Connectivity Program is a federal government program that you can learn more about. A lot of this may not apply to you. All of you are on this Zoom call today. So some of it is for people who don't have access to the internet. But I just want to make sure that plus New Mexico New and the free resources they provide, the free presentations they're providing like today's, Teeniors and the free resources we provide. In a nutshell, Teeniors is both a small business with a nonprofit arm. If you can afford to pay for a coaching session, then you pay. If you can't afford to pay, we have grant money that will pay for you. And that goes through our nonprofit arm. So our kids are paid $15 plus an hour. We're very big on, my whole goal is to empower seniors to connect with their loved ones, engage with the world through technology, while providing paid, meaningful jobs for teens and young adults. So are there any questions or comments right now? Well, actually, let me get myself off this shared screen so we can see each other's faces. I will say, as our mission with Teeniors, and I know that Tammy feels this way about NMU too, I really like the organizations that care about what their clients are saying back to them in feedback. And so we try to survey every client we work with. This is an example of a comment that I wanted to share with you. It says, I'm overwhelmed with joy, learned so much today. I actually feel that there is hope for me. Looking forward to future classes. I'm happy. That was an in-person class that we did at Badella Senior Center. And the person who wrote that is a small business owner. She owns a bead shop who literally did not think it was possible to learn. Like she didn't think it was possible to learn technology. Her friend Laura dragged her over there. And she was crying by the end of her coaching session with one of our Teeniors, James, because she was just like, I didn't know I could do this. I really thought I had to pay a kid to update our website or to do whatever it was. And so I always say, after doing this for the last 6.5 years, really 7 years, because in the first 6 months, a year or two, nobody else is with you, you're on your own. In working really hard on Teeniors for the last 7 years, there's one thing I know for certain, and that is that the main service we provide is not tech support. It is human connection. And the level to which we recognize that and stay true to that is the level to which I believe we will continue to succeed. So you heard me say earlier, this is our contact info. Please feel free to write it down. Our email address, which isn't on here, but is in the chat, is teeniors@gmail.com. We're really easy to reach because we're the only ones with this name. So you can like put Teeniors into Google search and you'll easily connect with us. We do free community workshops every month for people who can't afford to pay. And now, if any of you have questions or comments, I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, maybe it's a great opportunity, Trish, for everybody to practice. Like, click on chat and
Please.
write something in the chat just to get the experience of doing it. This is where you're in a safe space to be able to try these things out.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm going to do that too.
Yeah, definitely.
So you, Yolanda, you have an older Android cell phone and wonder if there's a limit to the number of apps you can download. Do these apps slow down the cell phone? It seems like you need an app for everything. Recently, Target told me to download their app just to get current discounts. Southwest told me to download theirs also. Okay, everyone's going to tell you to download their app, Yolanda, just so you know. It's very, remember, especially like Facebook, for example, I'm just using an example because they're the behemoth of social media and they own so many other social media platforms. Their whole goal is to keep you on Facebook. They get more advertising dollars, that's how they make their revenue, by you being on Facebook. So the longer you're on scrolling, the better it is for them and for business. And so it's the same with anyone else. Southwest knows that if you spend a lot of time on the Southwest app, you're eventually going to be like, oh, maybe get suckered into one of their $100 fares or whatever. Target's the same thing. Target knows that it's getting free advertising if you download their app. I have the Target app. I rarely have found that there's great discounts when I shop at Target with my Target app. But yes, you're welcome to use anything. I don't know what you mean with an older cell phone. I don't know how old it is. In general, apps aren't going to slow down your phone too much. I feel like that might be more of a question for a personal coaching session, or just come to one of our free community events that we hold every month so we can kind of go over that with you.
Yeah, and I've noticed, Trish, that they slow down your phone. Not just slowing down your phone, but they seem to deplete your battery if you keep them running all the time.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. If if you're not, and again, everyone has different smartphones, so it's hard for me to display this right now. But if you're not using something, don't have it on your phone. That's why I am not a big fan of downloading apps. If you go to my phone, there is just that, like 2 screens and another app of apps, because I do not like having a lot of apps. But mostly just because I don't like that many more companies having my data, I just don't want to deal with technology any more than I have to, any more than is convenient for me. I'm not trying to make it convenient for the companies. I'm trying to make it convenient for me. So yes, if you're engaged with them, that can slow things down. If you have a bunch of internet pages open on your internet, then that can slow things down. So that it's just something that's easier to show you in person. But I would say in general, don't engage with anything that you don't consider a necessity yourself. don't worry about what the company's telling you to do. I mean, like Wendy's, for example, will be like, if you download our app, you'll get a free cheeseburger. To me, that's just not worth it. I mean, like that kind of thing is going to come up all the time. It is their way of free advertising for you to get you to buy something from their company.
Hello, Trish.
Yes.
Trish, this is Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
You can hear me okay?
I sure can.
It took me a good amount of time to figure out how to get unmuted and talk. And I'm interested in knowing how to do a chat. But here's one thing. I communicate with other seniors for making plans and things, but we get on the telephone chat, you know, where you put in people's telephone numbers and everybody gets to see. It's on text. And we get to see everybody's comment, and then we make choices, you know, like we're going to meet here, or what do we want to do? And on my phone that I'm looking at now, I don't know how to do the chat part. Now I do get on Zoom, and it seems like everybody can see each other, and I don't know how to do that. And again, I don't get on the audio part. I listen. I can see them, like I can see you, and the screens and everything, but I'm not visible to anybody else, especially the person who's giving it.
So you're saying on Zoom,
there's just a lot of detail.
Cheryl, are you saying on Zoom specifically you can't access the chat from your phone? You're not talking about text. You're talking about from Zoom. I'm going to try to join. I'm going to try to join the Zoom call that we're on right now from my phone so that I can show you. Hang on. It's connecting.
Everyone else will get to your questions in just a moment here.
Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Hold on, I'm going to mute.
Okay.
I'm stopping video. Oops.
You are? Oh. Are you talking to the phone or to me?
Okay, I found it. I'm leaving that for my phone. On your phone, Cheryl, when you touch the screen, a menu comes up at the bottom. The furthest on, I mean, I don't know how it couldn't because, well, I'm sure it couldn't, but like, here's what should happen. And if it's not happening, we're going to have to work with you in person because so much of this is hard to do over video. If you're talking to us on Zoom right now, if you just touch your phone, a menu should come up at the bottom. And that's, I mean, it does because that's how you were able to unmute. But what should come up is on the right side, it says more because the chat doesn't come up right away. It says more, it should say more. If you press more, chat and 4 or 5 other menu options will come up. And that's how you chat from your phone. Again, if that is not how it looks on your phone, I believe you. It's just not something that we can help with right now because we have to be there in person to help you. And that's one of the. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm working with Jillian to. I'll work with Jillian to set up an appointment time for someone to come over here because the other thing is I don't use auto data or mobile data. It sky highs my bill. So I am only on Wi-Fi, but then of course I can only get Wi-Fi here at my house on my phone.
No problem.
So Jillian will work on a date.
Absolutely. And remember, you guys can get Wi-Fi in your home. And if you can't access cellular data, remember, you can get Wi-Fi other places. If you meet us at our office space downtown at Teeniors, you have access to free Wi-Fi in that building. If you go to Starbucks, City of Albuquerque, a public library, you have access to Wi-Fi in that building too. But yes,
all
Cheryl,
of the Albuquerque senior centers have it too.
Yeah.
All personal coaching sessions are what help when we can't see what you're talking about. You know, that's why only so many things are possible over video. Thank you for that question though, Cheryl. I'm glad we're going to be able to help you.
Okay, that's right.
Another question we have, Trish, is from Morton. How to scan codes and digital coupons.
Oh,
Can you talk about that?
So QR codes, we can do this online really quickly, but actually we can't do it because we can't take a picture. Let me show you. Do you all know what a QR code is? Have you guys seen those? Okay, so I'm only seeing a few of your faces. Let's pretend this is a QR code. What you do to scan them or access the coupon online or whatever it is, Morton, is, one second. I had to turn off my turn back on my notifications when I talk to on Zoom. So let me do that again. I go into the camera on my phone. And with that camera, if I focus it on the QR code, you will see that a tiny little thing of words, it's a website, will come up. That's where you click it. So if you're at a restaurant, and this was common during COVID, they would be like, just click this QR code for your menu. There would be some little thing on the table. Take the camera part of your phone, focus it on that QR code, and that's where the little website or whatever it is will come up, and that's when you click it. So if you've got a QR code at home, you can practice that. You can, like, you find a flyer or some junk mail or something that has a QR code at home, you can practice that. And then remember, just click, like, tap the little website that's going to come up, because every QR code leads to like a website. Does that make sense? Okay. Morton, I think you're muted, or if you are not, I can't hear you. It doesn't look like you're muted, but I can't hear you, so I don't know if it's the audio. Try talking again. Yeah, it's not working, Morton. I'm sorry. Can you type whatever it is? I'm not sure why we can't hear you. I mean, I think it's the audio settings on your Zoom, but like we can't help that from here.
He also wanted to know how to block unsolicited texts. So yeah. I know how to do that on an iPhone. I don't know whether you're talking iPhone or Android. It's a little bit specific either way. And they make it a bit convoluted, as I'm sure all of you guys have come up with. Your phone, you basically have to be in your text app within your phone. So Android, iPhone, Trish will show you on her end, in your messages app. And then you can tap on an individual message stream that comes up. So an individual thing, and it will say on the top of your screen, like it will show the person at the very top of the screen. And for some reason, mine is disappearing here. Yeah, there you go. You see where it says Lisa at the very top of the screen, and there's a teeny little arrow that's next to that. You'd have to tap on that little arrow where it says Lisa Adkins. There's a little arrow that's next to that, to the right of that name. You'd have to tap on that, and then you'd have to scroll down the screen, and then usually it comes up with something that says block this caller. At the very bottom, it will usually say block this caller.
It actually on iPhone says it under info. So
yeah, you have to hit info for some of them. Some of them say it right away. Some of them you have to hit info.
See how it says block this caller at the bottom? I know that's hard.
Very bottom of the screen. It's almost impossible to see, but it's the last thing on the very bottom of the screen.
Okay.
That's how you block a caller. And and I mean, as you can imagine, Morton, you know, it's the internet. I always try to tell people it's just like real life. Like we can't prevent the fact that we're going to see the pest control billboard as we're driving down I-40 any more than we can prevent all spam that comes to our email or our phone. Right. But it doesn't mean we can't block people. Because I still have a 310 phone number from college 15 years ago, I still get like anyone I know in the 310 world in Los Angeles, I have their name programmed into my phone. So every time a 310 number calls me, it's actually easier because they're always spam calls, always. And so I just end the call right away, go into there and block it. Doesn't going to stop them from calling from a different number. Mm-hmm. But yes, that's how you can block anyone. So again, just as a recap, you go into if it's a text, I'm like trying to get this to where you guys can see it. Those are my text messages right now. Okay. You click on the text, you click on the name, there's a little thing there, like an arrow. You click on info, and this is an iPhone. And you will see at the very bottom, block this caller. Okay. It's not going to be, you know, I'm sorry to those who are on the call that have an Android, because Jillian and I both have iPhones. It's not really that different though, just so you know. Like they make a lot of these operating systems really similar to each other. That's why I said, no matter if you have an Android or an iPhone, if you ever get lost, like right now, I'm like, where the hell am I? I didn't mean to get into that. Just pretend that's what's going on. There's always the home button. You can never get lost. You can always go home. That bottom button at the bottom of the screen, and on some, now that the whole screen takes up, there's not an actual button. There's when there's a whole screen now on the newer iPhones, still there's that bottom button on an Android or an iPhone, and that always takes you home. You can never get lost. You can always go home. I love saying that.
Another question, Trish, in the chat. Websites that want your location or access to your files still make me wary. Do they have continuous access even after you've left that site?
It depends. I almost never allow access. The only reason I allow location sharing on my phone is because I so often lose my phone that I want to define my iPhone works only if you have location sharing on. And so I almost never allow that sharing. So if you know whomever asked that question, if you could tell me the specific website, because usually sometimes it'll say share your location for a day, or just while I'm on this site, or remember my decision for today, for today only. Like there's different options. It depends on the website.
It was Shelby who asked that question.
Okay.
Thank you for the question, Shelby.
And then Maureen, I just now noticing that you're chatting me directly. So tell me about the QR code, which I think I did. And then you said my phone is not capable of QR code. Was told that the phone was too old. Okay, if the phone's too old, that's possible. I'm sort of surprised because to me, it seems like if you have a smartphone, it should work because a smartphone accesses the internet, but I know that might not be possible. The QR code is a newer thing.
And so sometimes you can, so the option would be to download a QR code scanner, right?
Yes,
Trish?
yes, that's right. That's right. I'm sorry, I didn't even think of that, Tammy. That is what you can do. You can download a QR code scanner. In fact, that's what a lot of us did before we knew that we could access it from our camera, like access the QR code from our camera. So again, if you go to the App Store, if it's an iPhone, if you go to the Google Play Store, if it's Android, just put into the search bar QR code scanner. You're going to get at least 5 to 10 that come up. And I just tend to go based on ratings, like how many ratings that are 5 stars. That's how I choose an app if I'm getting a new one like that.
So how do you use a QR code that appears on a TV screen? Same as any other?
It should be the same, Morton. You should be able to take your device, put it up to it, and click it. Like you'll see the same thing sometimes. Like I've been tempted to put a presentation on my presentations when I was speaking at a school a few times at a high school last month. And I was like thinking to myself, I should really put a QR code up instead of putting teeniors.com, because these kids are just used to not typing in teeniors.com. So I'm going to put a QR code in at the end of our presentations from now on for younger people. But yeah, it's the same thing. Like if I were to put our QR code up on our presentation screen on a slide, they would just have to take their phone camera scanner. Did I miss any questions that have come up? Please repeat.
Yes, Shelby wants to know, she's again in a follow-up to her original question, to do with sites that want permissions and basically, trying to track. And she says a couple of times they won't allow access without, you allowing permission.
That's right.
I think it's mostly banking and different sites like that. I believe that you do have to give you have to give permission to use your personal information. Yeah.
Yes. And like, for example, that's true, Shelby, that there are some sites that will not allow you to access the site unless you do. And so if you do need to access that site, by all means, allow it if you would like. In general, I mean, again, because I try to only deal with very secure technology, I'm not worried about my credit union, for example. They are going to go out of their way. Even Amazon, I mean, these corporations are going out of their way. They're spending millions and billions in Amazon's case on security because they know that it could be disastrous for their corporation if they have 10,000 people getting hacked. So people are spending a lot of money on security. They're not trying to they're trying to get your information, but for their own means, because they want to advertise to you in a more targeted way. That's what I think corporations are ultimately trying to do. God knows what else they're trying to do, but that's what I know they're trying to do. So if it's a website that you need to access and they're like, well, we're not going to let you unless you allow this tracking, or I mean, I've never seen you must allow tracking. I've seen cookies where you can go in and specify, I don't want marketing cookies. Okay, if you have to do these ones that are functional. I mean, I could go in, this is quite a conversation, and it's hard to describe this without showing it to you. But based on what you're saying, I would say if it's a website you do need to access, like your bank, for example, your cell phone company's website so that you can pay your bill or something, then yeah, I mean, by all means, I would probably allow it, just because I'm not terribly worried. I'm not going to be moving along shopping too much on that site. But yeah, there will be some that, yeah, that doesn't surprise me, because I have an ad blocker on my Gmail, and it won't allow certain pop-ups that I need in some cases because of that ad blocker. So I have to press a button that allows, for that particular case, the ad blocker to go to the side and let that pop-up come on.
So what ad blocker do you use, Trish? And
The one that I use, the one that comes with Gmail. So if you guys just Google search Gmail ad blocker, I love it because it just, anything is, you can even do it with Facebook. What you do is you download it, or if it's it's called a, what do you call it when it's like it's kind of comes with Google, like an add-on, what do you call that? An extension.
Oh, an extension.
Yeah. So sometimes it's just a quick thing where you just press yes, allow this extension, and it helps ad block stuff. You do the same thing with Facebook. My friend Eric literally never sees his news. If, for those of you familiar with Facebook, the news feed, the homepage is where you see everything that everyone else has posted. Plus you see all kinds of sponsored ads. Can't ever get away from the ads if it's a free software. And Eric refuses to see all that. He goes on Facebook only to post things, and then actively go to Trish's page if he wants to see what's up with Trish, John's page if he wants to. So his news feed is always an inspirational quote. That's it. That's it. Because he uses that software that allows complete blockage of seeing the home feed and all those ads. So there's always ways to work around. Again, some of these questions are like, it's easier to show you in person if we're on a computer with you. So I can just describe these, but you can Google search and learn a lot of this too.
Dan is asking how to get his emails into his regular mail instead of having them go to spam.
Oh, that's actually a nice, do you have Gmail, Dan?
Oh, it's Sharon. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's Sharon speaking from Dan's. Okay. I thought maybe.
Yes.
You know what? Let's do a quick share screen. We still have time. We technically end at 1 today. I'm going to go into my Gmail. Maybe we could pause the record. Did we pause the recording?
No.
Can you pause it really quickly while I go into my personal Gmail?
Updates, social. I believe it comes out slightly differently, but the theory is the same. If you're in, let's say your spam, and there's a message that you want to move into your primary, you drag it from your spam and you hover over that in your sidebar where it will say like primary. You do what Trish just did. You can do the same thing.
Okay, you guys, we are coming to the end of our time. I know that Tammy has a few announcements for you before we depart. So I'll say once more that we've really enjoyed this time with you. I hope you've learned something today. And I strongly encourage you to contact us. Say, hey, Trish, what are those other classes you have that I can watch online if any of those interest you? Same thing with NM New. Jillian will put our email and our website and phone number into the chat. But for those who aren't able to see your chat, maybe Cheryl, I know you know how to contact us, but it's basically teeniors.com is our website. Teeniors@gmail.com is our email. And our phone number is 505-600-1297. That's 505-600-1297. And we're so grateful for NM New collaborating with us today to give this presentation. Thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Thank you, Trish. And just one really good question that somebody asked that I think is important probably for all of us in this whole shift to 5G. Should we all really consider buying 5G phones at this point, or can we wait?
No, definitely not. Do not consider that. First of all, most of us don't have 3G devices. That's the only one that's going away. 4G is not going away. 4G is still fast enough for most of it. It's just like, it's always going to be what's the next cool technology. And that's really what 5G is at this point. Don't at all even think about that. I was just telling you guys about the progression of cell phones. I didn't even want to have to tell you the progression of networks, because I know that that can be like, wait, do I need to do something? Not at all. You're great.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that. Well, you guys are awesome, and we love you too, and appreciate so much everything that you're doing for seniors, and love the opportunity to connect. So thank you for that. So let me just share my screen real quick. Thanks to everybody who participated in our survey. It just helps us so much. It also helps us to have access to additional grants when we're able to engage our community. We're partnering with Project Echo, in fact, and it's a big part of our ability to partner with them is to get input from our community and be responsive to that. So thank you, Trish and Teeniors. Once again, here's Teeniors' contact information. Highly recommend contacting them if you need help. In fact, I have some things I'm going to be calling you about. So also want to, once again, our sponsors are so generous, and we wouldn't be able to do these free events without the help of our sponsors. So once again, I just want to thank all of them for their support. And again, remind you that we have some really interesting events coming up. Triumph, How to Win the Day with Meditation. And I believe Jillian posted the event registration links in chat. And then in June, we're going to be doing Exploring the Path for Your Future. I can speak from personal experience. I've actually done this work. It's really fun and interesting and eye-opening, and highly, highly recommend it. So with that, I'll just say goodbye and thank you once again to everybody for attending today. And we hope to see you all again on our next call.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Jillian, Tammy, Dustin. Have a great day, everyone.